Are you recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Allison.
I am here to sit down and have a conversation with you about the use of social media in small business.
Okay.
You run a small business.
I do.
You run the Black Drop Coffee House here in Bellingham, Washington.
I do.
And you've been running that coffee house for quite some time now.
Since 2009.
So that's 7 years.
7 years
That's weird.
of our 15-year history. It is officially 15 years next year.
Wow. Okay,
Been
cool.
open.
So how does your business use social media?
We use social media to broadcast our mission statement pretty frequently. We use it to interact with bases of clients that we don't get to interact with like individually. We put out like sales and specials on Facebook. We use Instagram as a way to connect with people, not really in ads so much, but like pictures that we think people would actually like show interest in, that kind of show what we're doing at the shop. And we occasionally use, although not as frequently as I wish that we would, use Twitter to talk about just like the funny things that go on behind the counter. I kind of wish that what I want my staff to do is I want my staff to like sign into Twitter and then put all of our in-jokes on Twitter, because we're really freaking funny people. I think other people would actually really enjoy that, but I can't get my staff to like touch Twitter.
Well, that's kind of part of your brand personality, is the fact that you guys are just a bunch of funny nerds.
So we're weird.
Weird.
Yeah, weird as hell.
So how many networks does your business use in total?
I would say probably the main three: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay. And has social media changed how you do business? Like, I know that social media already existed when you took the shop over, but like, has that aspect of interacting with your customers influenced how you do business?
I would say it does, yeah. For sure, when we put something out on Facebook, the response to the way that we talk to our customers about it in the shop is different than it used to be. People come in and like they'll continue a conversation with you like you had already been talking to them because they interacted with you on social media, and so they'll just pick it up like they'd already walked in that morning and like had a 10-minute conversation about whatever thing that we were talking about on social media was, which I find to be really kind of weird and cool. like what a neat network. Like, we recently put out this huge, surprisingly weirdly divisive statement that we're a safe and inclusive business after the election. And for some reason, like the fact that we just said like, hey, please don't say awful things in our shop, and that we are not going to stand for people like using hate speak in our shop, because we're a safe place for particularly the LGBT community and people of color and other marginalized communities. For some reason, that was really challenging to a lot of people, and I spent the last 6 days moderating the post that we put out and deleting people's terrible responses. So I would say that's definitely like a big change from the way that we used to do business, which is when I first took over the shop, we did have a Facebook, but we barely ever used it. Because Facebook wasn't as big of a thing in 2009. We had a Twitter, but the Twitter was just set up to pick up things from our Facebook, so it really like wasn't being utilized. And I don't think Instagram was even really around yet. Yeah, it wasn't a thing yet.
Okay, so you manage separate business and personal profiles, at least on Facebook.
Yes.
How do those two separate spaces on social media differ?
My personal page and the business page? I would say that I tend to be a lot more political on my personal page than I am on the business page. It doesn't really take very long to get to know our business to realize that we are a business with definite political leanings, and they're ones that we don't have a problem espousing and like telling people about. But it's more not circumspect, but more general, I think, on the business page.
Right.
Whereas on my personal page, I can just be like, yo, F you. If you don't believe the same thing that I do, we're on the business page, we have to be much more inclusive.
So who is your audience, or what viewers do you cater to on social media?
Let's see, audience. I would say probably people in Bellingham and surrounding areas are generally, like, when we target ads, to people who are in our geographic location, but then also to people who like our page and friends of people who like our page. I think people who are already interested in us would be more interested in the things that we have to say rather than trying to target somebody outside of a basic demographic. And the demographic ranges anywhere from like 18 years old all the way up to people in their 50s, because our core customer base is so diverse, and we cater to so many different kinds of communities at different times of the day that we really have to be inclusive of all of those communities on our social media to be able to be using it to its full extent.
Have you had negative experiences with your business on social media?
Oh yeah. This most recent post has been a really good example of that, actually. I've had to delete people who are calling me all sorts of names. I had a personal threat. Somebody threatened me and called me some names and told me that they were coming for me. Mentioned my daughter.
Oh dear.
So that's great. I would say overwhelmingly the response is actually pretty positive, but it doesn't take much to really like turn that into a negative experience if you're like moderating some really hateful stuff. We had another instance where we had a pretty divisive shift in the community when we were using our Facebook to speak out for a low-income housing project that was going in downtown Bellingham, run through the Archdiocesan Housing Authority. And we supported it really vocally, and many other businesses opposed it because there's no one nice way to say it, because they don't believe that poor people should have like homes in places that they could put people who could afford a high-rise apartment. And we thought that was crap. And so we said that was crap. And then a lot of other businesses kind of came down on us about how we're ruining downtown and bringing in drug addicts and like all this stuff that just doesn't even make sense. So that was really hard for me to moderate personally, because it was really difficult for me to be like, yo, why don't you like people?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand, like, why you can't use your business for a force of good. Like, why is this?
Yeah. Why do you hate the poors?
Yes. Yeah. Why do you think that people who don't make underneath $49,000 a year are worthwhile to our downtown, or are not, like, active contributing members of our downtown businesses? And we had to, take
Which you have lots of people in lower income brackets who are your, like, kind of your core customers.
Core customer base. Yeah. Yeah, we had to explain that like, I mean, I don't make $49,000 a year.
Right.
Like, I own a business. And
I certainly don't.
And I don't. So, like, when these other businesses were basically saying, like, people who can't afford these high-rise apartments, like, shouldn't be in downtown, I'm like, so me?
Yeah.
I made 9 jobs. Like, I have 9 staff members. I pay them all above minimum wage. They all have paid sick and safe leave. They all have vision insurance through my shop. And, like, I actually think that that's a pretty good entrance into the community. I think that it's a pretty good contribution, as opposed to what they were thinking of, which is like somebody who lives there and doesn't spend any money, doesn't, like, all my people spend their money downtown. Like, all my people are involved in downtown politics and in making our neighborhoods safer and better. And, I didn't see how we weren't relevant. And so explaining that to somebody was really challenging. Like, explaining your own relevancy to somebody seemed really, like, counterintuitive. Like, what?
Like, why are we having this conversation?
Why am I talking to you about why I'm a relevant person? So yeah, that was all done through, like, social media, which was really frustrating for, like, I just want to take a picture of this freaking cinnamon roll and then put it up and be like, look, come eat this, instead of, like, fighting with you about housing. Like, why am I doing that?
To kind of dovetail on that, what are the greatest benefits that your business has seen from social media?
Expanded reach has been really great. Like we actually, this last week, since we put up that post that I was talking about, we've had a bunch of people that we've never seen before come in through the doors to thank us for taking a stand to protect a safe space for people of color and for our LGBT community and like other marginalized communities. I think that it connects us in a way that it didn't allow us to connect before on a personal level, and it gives people a sort of personal ownership in the shop, which is something that we strive for in my business. Like we thrive on repeat customers, and repeat customers have loyalty to a place that they believe that they are part of, and being able to be part of the business on social media by supporting us and by interacting with us on social media allows for a greater participation, I believe, of our customer base than we had previously. And I think that it is just one more component of really making us a third place, as opposed to just like
A store.
a store that sells things.
Yeah. So do you feel like the return that you get from social media is worth the time that you invest?
Definitely.
Because I know out of the people I know who run businesses in Bellingham, you and Django are the two that probably I see the most activity from on their business pages.
Yeah. And I don't even think that we do enough. We've actually had kind of a struggle in keeping up the amount of ways that we interact on our social media feed, because the person who was managing my social media feed was one of my favorite employees, and when she left, everything just kind of went down because it was really difficult to do all of the things I do in a day and then also manage our shop social media. I just couldn't do it. So I need somebody who's like, that's their sole job. And so at this point, we're kind of casting around trying to figure out who on our staff is going to fit that the best and who can actually do it. Because right now it's my husband, John, and that's not a good fit. So we, it's between Ryan and I, and Ryan has a lot of really incredible strengths, but writing is not one of them. Like communicating with people through written word is not really his strong suit. And so he tends to be misconstrued, I think, a lot of the time. And so a lot of the interacting and moderation, it falls to me. And I'm a full-time student and I'm a mom of 2 girls, and I run a business and do all of the financials and also, try to breathe and eat and like
breathing and eating.
all of the things that are, required. So definitely it's a challenge to be able to keep up with it, but I think it's a worthwhile challenge. I think all of the time that I invest in it, it gives me a positive return. Definitely.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.